I want to tell you that there's easier ways to do this. If you're overthinking how to apply the 5 S's, my next segment's going to make it really, really easy for you. I'm giving you some pretty deep thoughts for you to sit back and look in the mirror and really assess who you want to be. So why not make it easier for you and call it what it is? What you're assessing right now is the juice worth the squeeze? Pretty simple. Is it worth doing? And if it's not, then don't do it. Or if it's not of value, then don't do it. Because we made a couple more videos that shows you how we as a company, and myself, the fancy new guy, working for about 1 million different companies, helps those companies live to their full potential. It's called Is the Juice Worth the Squeeze? Watch these videos because we want you to make a video and send it back to us confidently that you were able to build a skill and have the confidence to go out and try things. Don't think about it, don't overprocess it, but watch our videos, Is the Juice Worth the Squeeze? I'll give you 2 great examples of us building something and us working on something to deliver what we're building for you right now in this training. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Think about it, apply it, take a video of yourself telling us about your experience of something that was worth the squeeze, and then share it on social media and tag us in it. Pick a social media, we're probably there, especially if you're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Preferably something that is value adding to you, so we can hear your experience and share your experience with other people, because you're not alone in this journey of continuous improvement. But I'm going to give you one more final recap of your introduction to the fancy new guy training. What you've learned was, what is a skill? How do you assess the value of that skill, both giving and taking? How do you start to fine-tune the skills that you want and have? And then how do you fine-tune with a laser focus your future of your life with a new skill? And then you watched Is the Juice Worth the Squeeze and told us all about it. This lesson is valuable to us. We implement this daily and we want to bring these messages of hope and value to you. So for more information, if you liked these trainings, check us out on YouTube and subscribe to our channel @FancyNewGuy. We're also on Facebook @FancyNewGuy, or check out our website FancyNewGuy.com. Thank you for joining this training, and we can't wait to hear from you if the juice was worth the squeeze for you. Is the Juice Worth the Squeeze? It's a show where I apply the 5 S's, your sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. So in order to find out if the juice is worth the squeeze, you have to have an action plan. Action plan. So today's action plan on taking this table and making it what you see in the making of one of my next videos, how to make a mold of a respirator, you have to pour a lot of these chemicals outside. Is the juice worth the squeeze of making a table that I can build and do stuff in all my lessons on outside? I start with my saws, and then I realized my saw didn't work, so I had to go buy a second saw. So then I was like, I can't just have a crappy table with no logos or branding, because that's not us. I was like, I gotta do some cool painting stuff on here. So I needed to sand it first in order to do that, which I already had the sander. Maybe just needed a couple extra sanding pads. So then from there, after I sand this whole entire thing down, sanded again, did a couple different grits, 2 to be exact, I put my base coat paint on, and I got paint and primer in one instead of buying primer and paint. So then after I got finished sanding it and I put my base coat on, I let it dry, put another coat on, and then I had to tape it off to give this cool V effect that you see in all of our studio shots, just so I could have that same shot somewhere in this camera frame. So after I tape it off, my wife did an awesome job, because I was trying to get it done fast. She said, no, you invested a lot of time into this, you're not cutting corners. So she tagged in and did some fine line stuff. At the end of it, I know I'm gonna be working on this stuff, so I had to put a logo right here. And that was probably the funnest part to do, I had to make a cool stencil, and then I laid it out, I painted over it, and then I peeled it off. So then, as I sorted things out, I set them in order in a row. I put all my tools in a row, in the order that I'm going to use them, and then I kept my work area clean by making sure it was shined so I didn't use the wrong tools. And then this whole thing was an effort to standardize all of these shots. Right? Does it look good? Plantosaurus, do you like this table? At the end of the day, I found out the juice was worth the squeeze because I acted these 5 S's and I improved something that is going to be here for the next time. So now I'm not going to have to invest that time again. It was a one-shot deal, and now I can have standardized shots to bring you our awesome lessons to follow our standard format right here from home. So we found out the juice was definitely worth the squeeze because we lose no momentum even under full quarantine. And we get this standard shot that can bring you sweet, fancy new lessons like, is the juice worth the squeeze? We found out it totally is. If you have some ideas of is your juice worth the squeeze and you want to run it by us, just send us a note to info@tpomfg.com or go to fancynewguy.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Fancy New Guy. That's all today from your Fancy New Guy, Greg Serio, and I hope that you're staying inside and giving awesome high fives and hashtag wash your hands. I know you don't have hands, Plantosaurus, but you can still wash your paws. We've been through this. That's why you had to sit in quarantine and you couldn't be in my last video. What's up, world? It's your Fancy New Guy here, Greg Serio, with another lesson of Is the Juice Worth the Squeeze? A segment of our show where we talk about, is something worth doing? Or all those processes, projects, and ideas, are they worth doing or not? At the People of Manufacturing, we serve several different classrooms. And now that social distancing and quarantine take effect, what happens to those classrooms? As a big part of our business, classrooms were almost at the core of it. So, what did we do? We went to our Google Dad for a solution. The internet. Whoa. Lucky for us, we're a millennial-centric company that loves the internet. I mean, I call Google my dad sometimes, and then I call my dad Google sometimes. He gets really freaked out when I do it, but he'll watch this video and smile, hopefully. Since we already created all this awesome content for our instruction materials inside the classroom, we figured, how can we get this content to our students remotely from quarantine? It was kind of a no-brainer to ask Google Dad for help through these tough times. And it turns out Google has an LMS. If you made that face, you're probably wondering what an LMS is. So it's a learning management system. A learning management system helps you take your pictures and videos, or maybe your PDFs and Google survey quizzes, and put them online for your students to view remotely through Google. Thanks, Google Dad. That was a prolonged smile. That's still going. So the way Google Classroom works is, if you have a Google, you can download the app Classroom. Literally, you go onto the Play Store, type in Classroom, and then there's this little icon that pops up with a little green chalkboard, and it says Google Classroom. And then if you have an invite from us, it'll populate right there when you download the app. So it's pretty awesome because now we get to put all of our content that we already had in a row for our students to just go through and watch these awesome videos and learn. Maybe it's some of our content from Man vs. Robot, or our Machining 101, or the Fancy New Guy lessons about these 5 S's. The whole reason we're doing Is the Juice Worth the Squeeze is because there's so many things that we want to improve. The Google Classroom solves our problem as far as getting our content to the students, but we're here to talk about something that's old, the current state, and going to something new. What's the value of a traditional classroom? So in the traditional classroom, that teacher has a chance to connect with their students. And that connection with the student is how that student is able to really receive the information from their teacher. So that face-to-face connection is always the argument of saying digital learning versus classroom. So how can we figure out a way to marry the two digitally? Still have that relationship and that face-to-face interaction with our students through the features and benefits of digital learning platforms. Because if it's digital, then we're safe. We're maintaining that social distance that everyone's talking about right now. So we know it's the safest way to go, but that's the little missing link. So going back to Google Dad, video conferencing is typed in. And then there's a wide variety of choices. We prefer Zoom because Zoom allows us to host a room full of 100 people if we wanted. And then click record. So we can record lessons too, but also I get to see my student's face and have that rapport where I can still have the traditional aspect of building a relationship with my student versus also keeping everyone safe. The features and benefits of having a digital classroom for our company just almost seemed endless, but one of the unintended consequences, because is the juice worth the squeeze, is about 5 S's and efficiency. As an unintended consequence of this quarantine, we as a company became more efficient. This digital landscape is a wide open world for us now because something that I learned from an awesome mentor of mine, it's called CAGR. Annual Growth Rate, CAGR. E-learning was growing at about 7.5% CAGR. And you can ask Google Dad what that means. Post-corona, it probably doubled. Everyone's going to build a digital landscape for their learning platforms. So it's up to you, that student, to adjust to the modern times and start learning online, because it's the way of the future. And even though you're learning online, you still have the accountability of a teacher that wants to see you succeed. I'm your teacher, your fancy new guy that's teaching you how to be that new guy at the new job that you just got, right? So use this time of reflection to learn something new, find out if the juice is worth the squeeze for you to invest in yourself to take an online class. Do it now, and if you don't want to, maybe just subscribe to our YouTube channel, Fancy New Guy. Just watch our lessons and maybe you learn something new that changes your life anyway. You should totally do that, like now. And I'm trying to do the call to action before another plane comes over. Was the juice worth the squeeze? Of course it was, for so many different reasons, but the number one reason is we get to impact more lives at an efficient pace, and more importantly than all, safely. Thanks for watching this episode of Is the Juice Worth the Squeeze? For more information, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Fancy New Guy, hit like and subscribe below, or shoot us an email at info@tpomfg.com.
So what do I do when I'm looking for my Google Classroom? I just go to Google and then type in Classroom. And it brings me to this sweet icon right here that says Google Classroom. It's got this little icon with the chalkboard and the people on it. So then I go over this dot. And also it's located here in your Google Apps from any Chrome browser. Classroom. So when you click it, it brings you to all the classrooms that you are subscribed to. So since we practice what we preach, I click Fancy New Guy Training. Because every time I take my own training, I get a little bit better. So when it comes to the classwork, I just click classwork. And since this is the 5 S's to see if the juice is worth the squeeze, if our digital classroom is gonna be worth it to build this thing, which it looks like it is, because now I have everything I need to know in a row on how to improve the process. I'll start from the top. We give a little teaser with our videos, get you interested, so you can click our videos. This is a YouTube link, but also this one's saved on the Google Drive, so you can access it from the class. You just press play. And this is our What is 5S video. To get the rest of it, just go back to the YouTube channel. Or this classroom that takes you right to YouTube from right here. And then if I want to understand how to map out a process, just like my students would, I put all those PDFs right here. First PDF, what is a process map? A map of a process. Real clever, right? But if you're just trying to understand this stuff, how do you make a PB&J? Everyone makes it a little bit different. So that's where we store our PDFs, and I can put it all in a row. From understanding our value, that's what this is, the juice worth the squeeze, understanding the value of change. Where I can have sort. Sorting through all tasks in a process and removing all unnecessary components from the process. With a little exercise. Juice is worth the squeeze is just that exercise. We're improving a process, and we did so with our Google Classroom. All of our topics are listed here for all of our content in a row that we want our students to learn. And we can do this digitally because I'm recording this through Zoom, where I could also have the camera on me. But if I want to have a Google Calendar and a Google Drive all in one location, I can let my students know when all these assignments are due. But without further ado, I'm just going to go back to Google and tell Google Dad, thank you, Google Dad, for always answering my questions.